Move to the adoption of the consultation document 2015-2025 long-term plan. My consultation that I was just having briefly was just to get a process in place whereby we can receive the Audit New Zealand advice. So, of course, everyone now understands that under this new process, we have a consultation document as opposed to the long-term plan or the draft long-term plan going out for consultation. We have a consultation document. It is the consultation document that is audited, subject to the audit report. Between the time that this was referred to the Audit Office and the Audit New Zealand and the presentation of the document, there were two aspects of it that slipped out of the document, and they need to be reinserted back in order for us to receive the report. So I would like to, just as a matter of process so that we can be in a position to receive the Audit Office report, I would like to move that the Council approves the changes to the underlying information made since the Council meeting of 26th of February. Is that... I'm just looking for a helpful steer from somebody around the room to see if we can get, because what we have to do is we have to get this consultation document onto the record so that we can receive the Audit Office opinion, because we can't receive the Audit Office report until we've adopted the changes that were made since it was referred to the Office of the Audit Office. Is that right? I'm looking for some direction, please.
Yep, that's fine.
Yep. Perhaps if our lawyers, I'll take some last minute legal advice. You weren't here when I was desperately trying to find an answer to this question.
If the intention is to get, or the need is to get the missing words back into the consultation document before you're able to receive the report, then I think we probably need to put up what the words are, if you know what they are. Or be clear about what the words are, and then simply... There's only a couple of paragraphs.
Yeah, there were a couple of paragraphs. Can we cut and paste them? They're in the document.
They're in the... Oh, okay. Well,
okay, so
if they're in the document you have, and the auditors can see that they're in the document you have, then the document you're talking about is the one that you have.
Okay, so can perhaps if I could invite our auditor to the table, because it may well be if the auditor is satisfied that the version that we are debating today is in fact the version for which he can submit his report, then maybe he is in a position to do so. So I am sorry. I'm just... I do apologise, and it's a new process for all of us, and I know that a number of councils have struggled with the consultation document process, and they've had a lot of trouble toing and froing, and ours is no exception, but our circumstances are exceptional. So, and I really do want to pay credit to the amount of work that you and your office have put in to support us through this process. But this is just the last little bit, and I'm sure we'll get there.
point the council to page 6 of the consultation document. And you will see within that text box in paragraph 3, there is a sentence that reads, "It is therefore important to understand that the 2015 to 2025 long-term plan is a starting point for the council and community to jointly define the priorities and vision for future Christchurch." My understanding is that key paragraph was removed during an editing process inadvertently. So this has now been reinstated.
Yep.
So my suggestion is for council, and this is your call, Madam Mayor, the need for council to approve that change with the reinstatement of this paragraph. Also on page 8, on page 8, the key questions that were in the draft we reviewed and approved were again deleted during the editing process, and this has now been reinstated. So those are the key questions relating to the consultation document, and that's pretty important for a fair and reasonable debate in relation to the proposals that council is putting forward to the ratepayers.
Okay.
So with those reinstatement, is for council to approve them. And with that, we are in a position to issue our report.
If this is the version that we are going to adopt today,
Yes.
does it matter that, do we need a resolution to actually reinsert them, or the fact that they're in front of us today reinserted, does that, was this the version that went online? It was. Yeah, okay. So it's online as the final
Thank you.
draft?
Yep.
So that's okay?
If there was uploaded onto the council's website last night, was it? This morning. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
This morning, okay. So you are now in a position to
Yes.
formally...
Indeed. Thank you very much. I have received this morning a representation letter signed by the mayor and the chief executive. That's the last tangible part of our auditing process. So we are in a position now to issue an audit report on the consultation document. The office is pleased to issue unqualified report, albeit there are some paragraphs,
Don't need it.
what we call emphasis on matter paragraphs, highlighting some key content in the consultation document. You should have a copy of that report with you. The key thing there to note is the assurance we're giving council that based on the work we have done, the consultation document provides an effective basis for public consultation and the council's decision about the proposed content of the 2015 to 2025 long-term plan, because it fairly represents the matters proposed for inclusion in the long-term plan. And those are the questions that were raised on page 8 of your consultation document. And the document also identifies and explains the main issues and choices facing the council and Christchurch City and the consequences of those choices. And the information, the second leg of our opinion, relates to the information and assumptions underlying the information in the consultation document are reasonable, given the uncertainties facing the council, as we explained in the body of the audit report. So it's a matter for us really to draw attention to readers of your consultation document, that you have set out in the consultation document, the circumstances that council faced in preparing the consultation document, and the disclosure of resulting uncertainties while developing those assumptions underlying the long-term plan. We also draw readers' attention to page 6 of the consultation document, where the council acknowledges that the 2015 to 2025 long-term plan may be subject to major changes as future circumstances unfold. So that's the essence of our report, Madam Mayor and councillors.
Thank you very much. Look, again, can I just acknowledge the incredible effort that has come in from your office and you personally and your team. It's been absolutely extraordinary, and I know that there's been a lot of to and fro and a lot of support. I understand that as part of this whole process that you'll be reporting to management about process. Yes. And that will be very helpful for us. One of the resolutions that we will be considering today is a management and governance review of the whole process. Yep. In order for lessons learned and perhaps the establishment of a process going forward. Yep. the next time that a long-term plan process is entered into, and just reflecting again that the first time this consultation document process has been adopted, I think sometimes, and I can say this as a former Member of Parliament, sometimes sitting in Wellington, absent from the direct day-to-day activities of how a council operates with the best intention of the world, sometimes creating what they believe to be will be an easier way for people to engage in the consultation process, may have unintended consequences for those that have to put that together. So I just really, on behalf of the whole council, want to thank Audit New Zealand, and you in particular, Julian, for the effort that you and your team have put in to support us through this incredibly complex process. But, you know, I can't say always with good humour, but at the end of the day, you're smiling, I'm smiling, and I'm feeling like we've made great bounds. And you know, at the beginning of it, I probably thought that were we going to make it, and you've pulled out all stops to make sure that we could meet our legal obligations. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome. A lot gets done in the last minute, Madam Mayor. So.
Thank you. Now I'll invite our legal people to remain. And Jonathan, I'd really like to hear from you. You presented a legal opinion to the Audit and Risk Management Committee yesterday, and I'm wondering if we could have an update on that.
Certainly. Well, and just perhaps the first point is that the simplest way to go forward with certainty would be to table the version that you have in front of you today, acknowledging it has some editorial changes in it, and then that's the document you're going to adopt. So perhaps if the newest version is tabled, yeah, and then that's what you adopt.
Yeah.
Our review was based on an earlier version, and I haven't updated that opinion because it seemed to be quite a dynamic environment, so I just thought I'd wait a little. It's not going to change.
I love the way you put that.
Our opinion's not going to change, and the essence of it, which is similar to the approach the auditors have taken, which was to acknowledge the scale of the issues facing Christchurch and take the view on that compliance with Section 93B of the Local Government Act, which is the purpose of the consultation document, could be reasonably met at a higher level than would normally be the case for local authorities in a more business as usual situation where change is incremental. In Christchurch, change is anything but incremental, and there are very high levels of uncertainty. Now, what's important is all of that is acknowledged very openly in the consultation document, so the community understands the discussion that is being had and the position that is the starting position of the council. So we have reviewed the document against the relevant sections of the Act, that's 93A to 93C and 93E to 93G, and we've formed the view that it is, to cut to the chase, fit for purpose and meets those obligations under the Local Government Act. We, in saying that, we haven't reviewed all of the financial detail that underlies it. We are lawyers, not accountants, so we are just looking at it in terms of assuming that's all in place and coherent and compatible, consistent, then the document does all those things that I've said it should do. One of the areas where we paid particular attention was in terms of compliance with Section 93E, which relates to the Council complying with Section 97 of the Local Government Act, which is the provision that requires certain decisions, and in particular decisions to transfer ownership or control of strategic assets, must be taken after they are clearly set out as a proposal, can only be taken after they're clearly set out as a proposal in the long-term plan. So we were looking at the long-term plan, the consultation document, to see that the proposals around the release of capital and the transfer of assets from the social housing portfolio were expressed in terms that would meet the requirements of Section 97, and that's by reference to Section 93E. In relation to the release of capital propositions, yes, they, in our opinion, meet that test. In terms of the social housing, not quite so certain, but certainly they probably do, would be the conclusion. And the consequence of that is able to be mitigated in relation to social housing by further information and or subsequent consultation. But we certainly find that in terms of the requirements of the Act, the document's ready to be consulted on.
That's great.
I have copies of the Simpson-Greason opinion. Well, I wasn't quite sure what he was going to say, so I didn't distribute them before.
I think most people have already got a copy. Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, thank you very much.
In which case, I apologise for the repetition.
No, not at all. Because it's good to have it on the record, and you know, I mean, this is live streamed as well. And as I say, this is a new process, and I was really keen for the public to sort of kind of hear all of the points of sign off. So it's the audit office report. I mean, you know, that's a clean opinion. We've got the legal sign off now, and I'm going to invite Carleen to talk about the management sign off next. Yanni, did you have a legal question?
Obviously, this is a new process in terms of the consultation document. So I just wanted to get some understanding from you. In past years, when we adopted an LTP or a draft LTP or an annual plan, we would have a very specific resolution about what council was proposing. For example, to remove strategic assets from a strategic asset list through our significance engagement policy. My understanding from your advice now is we don't need to specifically have a council resolution that does that in the main body of our report. As long as we've mentioned it in the consultation document, that's sufficient for us to indicate a preferred option without a specific resolution. I just wondered if you could touch on that a little bit in a little bit more detail, just so for those of us that have been here before, that is quite a fundamental change, and if you could just elaborate why that's the way that things are now being done.
Certainly. It could certainly be a part of the process, and would no doubt be regarded as a very good process if all the component parts of the long-term plan, and in particular the consultation document, which focus on the key points of it, were the subject of separate council decision making. I'm appreciating, though, that there are an enormous number of decisions that would have needed to have been taken in a very tight time frame. My view is that as long as the particular proposal is clearly enunciated in the consultation document, then the adoption of the consultation document is a valid council decision to consult on that thing. So I mean, that's the short answer, really.
Yeah.
So long as it's clear that this is what you're proposing to do, it's a decision that is made when you adopt the consultation document.
Yeah.
I appreciate that limits the opportunities for extensive discussion of it, but it is a valid decision.
Thank you, Jonathan. I mean, I think that was an area that a number had concern about, and it's good to have that clarified for the record. So can I just also do the same thing that I did with the Audit Office, and just to say thank you, Ian from within the organisation and Jonathan externally, for providing us with an incredible amount of support. I know that both of you have been working long hours. I know because I see what time you leave the office, and I know that it's been an extraordinary effort. And again, we're dealing with the challenges of a new process, which we're all working through. I certainly would invite you to be part of our review of the process, because your perception from a legal point of view would be incredibly helpful in us designing a better way forward for the next time. I think we have ended up in a good place, but I think there's been a lot of late nights and tearing out of here on the way, and yeah. So thank you both very, very much. It's much appreciated.
I appreciate that very much. And if I could just, I don't want to have a last word, but a last word would be...
But you're a lawyer. You have to.
But this legislation
But so
is
am I.
very difficult, and it does really needs a second look.
Yeah, it
Totally
does.
agree.
Thank you. So now we move on to the document itself. So I'm just going through the resolution, because I think we need to turn this into a proper resolution that reflects what the council's going to agree to do in terms of the report, and I'm still working through that. So rather than so I'm just wondering if maybe, what's the time, 10 o'clock? I'm just wondering if we could just take a quick adjournment, maybe for 10 minutes while I get the wording correct, and then we can move into debating the document. Is that comfortable with people? All good? Okay, so I'll just adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes, and we'll get the wording of the resolution sorted, and if anyone wanted to get me a long black, they'd be most